Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Thursday Talkshow. We are here with Caleb Lasseigne. He is a 25-year-old from Louisiana. He's a business owner, a life coach, as well as a fitness coach, and he is also a student. So Caleb, it's nice to meet you. Nice to have you on, and thank you for coming.
Appreciate having me.
So it's a little bit funny, actually, the way that we were introduced to each other because you had kind of cold messaged me through Facebook. And I get those sorts of messages all the time, and I don't usually respond to them, but this is a newer thing that I'm doing, so I figured, hey, I might be able to, invite him on, get some mutual benefit out of this, and connect with somebody in a market that I'm not usually tapped into, especially in an area that I'm not from. We're on complete different sides of the country, so tell me a little bit about yourself and what you're doing right now and how it's like over there.
Yeah, a little bit about me is like the intro. I'm 25 and do life coaching, and over here on this side of the world, it's extremely hot. So, but yeah, what I do right now is I help entrepreneurs, business owners for the most part, to just maximize their mindset, their physical health, and then their time management inside of their business. So, just touching all three that I find are the most important to actually living just a healthy lifestyle and maximizing just their potential in their life. There's other aspects, but I find those three are usually the best that I see.
I hear you. Well, that's awesome. And so I want to hear a little bit about how you actually decided to get into this sort of thing. So take me back to, I guess, when you're closer to a high school age and you're starting to develop into that sort of adult age. What was going through your head?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, it was mostly like trying to get into baseball. So I played baseball my whole life when I was young, growing up. So always the first thought was to play big league baseball, and then the next thought would be to be like a personal trainer or just like a PT overall to work with professional athletes too. And so when I got to college, I actually went into just like sports medicine, and also did just background in science, kinesiology, just whole nine yards, just kind of that route, and then educated myself on just kind of like personal training to maximize myself with baseball. So it was kind of like a trickle down effect to that point. And then when I got done with my college career, that ended there. Baseball did, and I jumped into a 9 to 5. It happened 3 months right before COVID started, and so I was working at a GNC, and then also doing personal training on the side. And then GNC got closed down completely, so I just started my business online instead. So I just created the business and started moving it that route. So I did that for a long time, and about a year and a half in, about a year and a half in, I don't know the exact number, but I had a client that asked me to do a little bit more for them, kind of do that everything I'm doing now. So the peak performance, because I was getting mentors that were helping me on those three aspects. It was just having coaches, mentors, and helping myself. And then I also found ways that helped me out and kind of just took bits from them, but also find ways that worked for me overall. And then put it into their plan and enjoyed it. So I did it for about 5 people. The way I did it now, it's kind of just what I do full time now. That's just everything I do, and keep maximizing it and keep adding to the program over time. But that's kind of how I fell into it.
Well, that's awesome. And so I noticed you're saying that you kind of started to get into this at the beginning of COVID when everything was closing down. And I know that must have made it a little bit harder for you to actually connect with people. And so in an industry where your main lead generation strategy is connecting with people on a personal level like that, and trying to, show them value and how you can help them improve their mindset, their lifestyle, their physical fitness. How hard was that to deal with when, you couldn't really be around too many people?
It was definitely tough because whenever I first started and growing up, and everything was always face-to-face contact. Like, how can you give value just there? And so whenever I had no clue how to just do any type of lead gen, do any type of marketing, didn't know really anything. I did have a mentor. That's the first thing I did do.
Yeah.
But it's still, they can give you a pathway, but it's still hard to do it if you don't have any knowledge, no expertise on it, and you just don't know what you're doing. It's like you're just blind out there. But it was tougher because of the aspect is like completely just different realm of just how to market and how to do everything there. I got the foundation, but not really a whole maximized knowledge to get to that point. So it took months on end to figure out how to do my marketing, how to actually talk to my market, how to get them real results that they would want to see. And if I could do it either face to face, but doing it online. And I find right now, personally, online, I can get better results online than I can in person.
Yeah.
And I like was doing it with people in person just because it's a little different.
Mm-hmm. And so the way that you actually approached me was not in a way that we were really going to collaborate like this. It was in a way that you were looking to make me a potential customer client of yours. And so I did like your pitch. It was interesting. You kind of came to me and you said, "Hey, I have a gift for you." You only provided value. You didn't really ask for anything from me. You were just saying, "Hey, I have a gift for you. Let me provide you this value. Is that okay?" And so I kind of matched you and I said, "Well, hey, I'll take that gift if I can, help market it for you and get you on here and talk to me a little bit." So I really like how, you're entering on a personal level online. So it's connecting with my personal account. You're not just going to comment on one of my pictures or something, but you're also only offering me value. And you're not, right off the bat asking me for something, saying, "Hey, are you interested in this, that, and the third, and check out my website and this and that." And then you form it in a question. You say, "May I offer this to you? Would you accept this?" You're not, "Hey, let me give it to you because it's free and you're not going to lose anything, so just take it, because if you don't, then you're only missing out on opportunities." So I love that pitch and that introduction that you made to me. And it really actually, I never really reply to those messages, and you're one of the few that I have replied to. So that was awesome.
I appreciate that. It's taken a long time to get there. Legion is the hardest thing to do for me. Whenever I started, it's definitely the hardest, and it's tricks to the trade. And sometimes it's just cold, the messaging. But no, definitely you having me on here though. This is the first time me doing a podcast in a very, very long time. Put it that way.
Yeah,
so,
well, I'm glad to have you. I mean, the whole point of this is to get people from all over with different perspectives and different lifestyles and share those perspectives so we can come together, educate people about different things in life. And I believe that, like, realistically, when people want to start shows like this, they're always like, "Oh, I want to have the best, most intriguing, most popular, whatever guests." And so I'm pretty much like, well, I appreciate people on a base level. So I want to hear what people that small business owners, and I mean, people that are still working 9 to 5s, people that have dreams and aspirations and then different experiences than I do. I'm willing to connect with those people and talk to them every day. So that's kind of my mindset behind it. And so, yeah, I'm super happy to have you on. And in real estate too, it's pretty similar as to what you're saying. Lead gen is one of the hardest things to deal with because it's also something that never stops. You always have to be lead generating. And so it's one of those things where it's also easy to get overwhelmed. There's so many different ways to lead generate that it's hard to even just start doing it, because you're like, I could be doing anything. I mean, I could go walk out of my house right now across the street, knock on the door and say, "Hey, I'm Mr. Real Estate Guy. Want to work with me?" And I would probably get the door slammed in my face, but hey, you never know unless you try. So I definitely feel you on that one. And so what would you say really got you over that hump of, you're having that tough time lead generating? What got you into that rhythm of, okay, this is something that is actually sustainable at this point, and it's something that I can actually focus my time on rather than focusing the majority of your time on that 9 to 5 or whatever?
Had no other route, it felt like. When I first started, it was no other route. Everything closed and there was no jobs opening.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like you find a way out of no way. And also it was, I have nothing to lose. I just got out of college. I have money saved. Like, I'm dumping everything into it, and I'm betting myself. If I'm going to bet on anything, I'll bet on myself instead of a job that may open. But so the Legion was the hardest part when I first got into it. And it still is one of the hardest parts for me too, personally, because it's a big ego thing for me.
Yeah.
For everybody, it's like a big ego or a big pride thing. For a lot of people, it's like if you don't get a reply back, if takes up a lot of your time, it eats up a lot of your time. And you also need to go back in through your lead gen, and it's like sales calls over too, to where you got to break them down. And so you got to put your ego or your pride aside. And when I first got into it, that was the hardest part for me, is to actually put it aside and be like, you know what, it's not working, to keep going and you'll figure it out sooner or later, because that's just the way it is. So you got to just kind of maneuver. And that was what I did for the longest. And I still have to do it today after 2 years of doing sales calls and lead gen. It changes all the time, especially with the market.
So now that we've gotten a little bit past the time of COVID, I know it still lingers around and we still are in that crazy world, everything new every day. But what does your day-to-day look like now? So when you wake up, what's one of the first things that you're doing, and where do you go from there?
Yeah. So usually I wake up around 5, and then what I do is kind of just stay away from my phone for about 30 minutes to an hour. And so I just get a cup of coffee, get active, get some food in me, get situated. And then once I have my coffee and everything good to go, I'll go through my scheduling of my day. So my day is already scheduled the night before, but if I have something that may have come up, that I have people working with me, just want to reschedule in something like a call or something overall too, I'll run it down and have my day scheduled out. And once that is done, I'll get ready for the gym, and then I'll be doing either lead gen, content, or having a couple pieces done. It is about 30 minutes an hour of work of like just get kind of like that hard middle ground and get it off to just moving to get some type of win through the door. Like that's the biggest thing for me and what I preach to everybody I work with. Like you need to have some win. Like I'm not a big component. I know mine is like life coaching, peak performance, everything. I'm not a big component on heavy component on meditation, reading, and doing everything. Like you need to read to get knowledge. You need to, if you need to meditate, but like time management comes down because you're not using your time wisely. So that's the main thing, is get that hour of the win, go work out. That's what I do right after. And once I get back, get something quick to eat. And then I work for about 3 another hours of just like uninterrupted work, just strictly going through the work, just keep your head down, work on just the big things, the big money makers, the 20% that brings in the 80% of the money. So that's calls, cold calls, whatever the case may be for anybody. That's my day, is just lead gen, content, get things out there. And then the back end for the next like 2 to about 4 or 5 hours, just dependent. I try to not work for the 5, but is get the little things done. Just the little nicks and crannies. Like I got an ebook that I have to always like go through, always get feedback on it. The one that I was going to send to you, and the feedback, always get on it. So either add in grammatical errors, like just all those things, like the little things, or maybe editing a video, whatever the case may be, or collaborating with other people, or the back end of lead gen. Like it's like everything big has to go into beginning of my day. And the back end is like, because I get drained easily. Once it gets to like, I can't work from past like 4 o'clock in the afternoon my time. I'm not efficient, put it that way.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I mean, I hear you saying a lot, that you're doing a lot. I mean, it makes sense why you would not want to work past 4, even if you could work efficiently. I mean, that's part of the reason why a lot of us get into this sort of thing and owning our own business, is being able to set our own hours. But in developing that sort of business, a lot of it comes from delegation. And so now one of my next questions was going to be for you. Do you have any plans of like building a team around you for the future? And if so, what do you think that's going to look like?
Yeah, definitely want to build a team around me right now. I have 2 people in lead gen right now, but yeah, it's definitely building a team out. Just I like to keep it as small as possible, but as efficient as possible. So not having people not working on things they enjoy overall, and everybody's getting paid really well overall. So that's the thing, is I want to keep it as just compact as possible, as tight as we can. But I want to build it. So that's marketing, if we need marketers, lead gen, and like HR, CEOs, COO, whatever, a manager overseeing everything and running day-to-day business. But because I like fulfillment. I like working with clients. I love working with clients. I love seeing the results. and then the managing, just going through the day-to-day process, because I run everything through a third-party app that
Yeah.
everything is in, and then I have other processes and systems that help me to track with everything. So kind of the building blocks, and it's a little bit later on down the road, but
Yeah.
definitely to build it out and keep it as tight as humanly possible.
That makes
Really.
sense. Yeah, and so I think it sounds like you're definitely one of those guys who understands that your advantage and your leverage comes from the fact that with a smaller team, you can be more hands-on and get more fulfillment, but as well as tell your consumer and your client, "Hey, like we're going to give you more attention and we're going to keep things more personal with you in ways that other people won't because they just have too many revolving people going through the doors." And so I definitely can appreciate that as well. That's a big part of my whole mindset in this sort of industry as well. Is I don't necessarily want to be a part of a huge conglomerate team because they don't necessarily take enough time to nurture you as well. Because they just don't care. I mean, if they have enough money coming in and you're just one guy going out, another one's going to come in and right behind you, and then they just take less time to focus on the client. So I definitely agree with you in the fact that I like keeping it more personal. And so that's why I got into this business in the first place, is to build relationships, and especially for the long term that hopefully turn into the friendships. So keeping it personal and small in a tight knit community is definitely understandable. So I can appreciate that for sure.
Yeah. No, definitely that's the route that I always wanted to take, because I ran through mentors that were really great, but it wasn't much of a personal touch,
Yeah.
and it was great, like so much knowledge. I gained so much from it, and but I also knew that like the only downside would be get higher, like get more personal touch. Like, hey, this is my problem. Let's work with it. Even though the knowledge is here, like let's hand on like a hands-on thing to allow me to see it firsthand. So that's why I do a lot of personal touch.
Yeah.
I like to stick with my clients one-on-one. Like that's definitely something that I like to do, because they can hear it from me, like put it that way. And if something goes wrong, guess what? I can handle the problem or solution that comes with it, and I'll be able to handle those ramifications in general. So I can handle them instead of they getting a bad experience and me not know about it, type of thing.
Yeah.
Which that would, hopefully that doesn't happen, but it's business, nothing's perfect. So
Yeah, exactly. I hear you for sure. So let's sort of switch gears a little bit. I kind of want to get a little bit more personal with you. And so my question is next. So you grew up in Louisiana. Were you born there?
yes.
So how far out have you ventured from Louisiana, if anything?
Yeah, so I have gone to the east coast of the United States, so all the way to Florida, like all the states there. Went to Tennessee, Missouri, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
New Mexico. I went to New Mexico, not Arizona. I went to New Mexico, Oklahoma. I'm trying to think. That's most everything. Is like just the lower ends of the states. Like
Yeah.
I've not been up in the US at all. It's mostly from baseball too.
Yeah, I was
It's
gonna
not.
ask, was it from traveling for baseball?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what was that like? What was your traveling baseball experience like? So you would just go for tournaments, or your team was it a traveling team?
Yeah, so it was a travel ball team for the most part, and then for college, it was just traveling back and forth for games, and
Yeah.
we stayed there in hotels. But when I was younger, from high school, I would travel for just travel ball team. We'd stay there for about a week, and then we come back. So it's like a vacation, but not a vacation overall type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense. So what is like the player development like in baseball, at least at the college level? So if you're thinking about going into the major leagues, what does a player development look like from a college standpoint?
yeah, so from a college standpoint, the coaches are gonna just guide you to get you to where you need to be, but
Mm-hmm.
it's on you. Like from high school to college, completely different jump. Like you have to almost man up, because it's your career. So like if you want to get more work in, you need to get more work in, and uh work, put it that way. You need to put in extra work,
Yeah.
because in high school you're playing against people that may not be going to college, but you have to realize everybody that is going to college is the best person on their team. And that's who you're competing against every time. So if you want to play, you want to be all conference, you want to be all American, like you want to go to the next level. To get there, the coaches will put you in a position to be successful with working out, training, getting you right, hitting, pitching, fielding, and you'll be doing all the drills that you need to do more. But you will need to do your own research. You know, get your nutrition dialed in, because not every place that you go to has your nutrition dialed in, and you're in college. So, and most college kids don't have money. Like I didn't have money to just do and go get all the best foods, but it was still like, you still need to figure out what you can at least implement in to do it. So you need your own knowledge. You need to do your own research. That's why I was doing it whenever I went to college, to maximize my own baseball potential. But definitely whenever you go, you can't rely on the coaches to do everything for you. Like you need to show up. You have to be there early, leave late, do research, get into there, because maybe you're not the best one. I was never the best one, but definitely wasn't outworked. Like I definitely knew what I was going to do. But that's the thing, is that they're going to prepare you, but you need to be ultra prepared to get ready, because the people you play in college, you just understand is going to be about 5 times better than the people you play in high school. So just get ready and just be prepared. That's the main thing.
And I think that's also a really cool thing that we can relate to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, and how you've actually gone about doing your business, because it's like you were saying, you have a mentor and you can have all the knowledge, but without the execution, without the drive, it's not going to work. And so if you can also set a realistic expectation of, this is not going to be an easy thing and it's not going to be handed to me, but I'm going to do it anyways because it's what I want to do. And I think that's a good route to become successful. And I think that's why you've been able to, do what you've been able to do. And so now my next question would be, was there a point in college when you were playing ball that you kind of either decided you're going to kind of switch routes, or was it one of those things that fell to an unfortunate circumstance where you kind of wanted to keep going with your career, but it just unfortunately didn't work out that way?
Yeah, it was more of an unfortunate route, but it's always a blessing in the redirection, though. If put it that way. I would have loved to keep playing. I would have loved to do it, but it's more of a, sometimes you got to face reality that you just weren't as good as you wanted to be. Put it that way. Like I think I had a great career, but when it comes down to everything set in stone, like there's guys that are in the MLB that are unbelievable, and I just wasn't on that level, and it's okay. Did I want to do it? Yeah, sure. But the redirection of what it was what I prepared myself for to get to the MLB, or at least get drafted and have the opportunity, put me in the position I am in now, which is to do the career. I would never be able to do this if COVID didn't happen and I didn't actually go to school for this. Like that's a process, because you can go to take a class and whatever to be a trainer, but I wouldn't even know half the now if I didn't go to college for it and actually learn.
Yeah. And so even if let's say you went to college and you didn't learn anything, have you been able to leverage the connections that you made at all to help you with either business or other opportunities in life?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because that's the biggest thing, especially when I was first starting, that I didn't realize until you get about a couple months in, because you don't understand how to build connections. Like actually, true connections online is different than in person. It really, really is. Like that's the biggest thing. And I didn't know how to do it really well. And now that I built up a lot of connections and I'm able to connect with a lot of people, they give me just pretty much cold hard truths about a lot of different things, like lead gen. Like actually the pitch that I sent you is something that one of my buddies me out with. Like doing lead gen, I always want to connect with other people and like, hey, how are you doing this? How are you doing this? Hey, what are you doing this out of your business? And how did this help you? Like I'm stuck with this. Like did you do here? So I can always just reverse back to the connection I have and the I do trust with that information to help me along the way. I didn't have that for like the first 6 months business. I really didn't. So after I learned that, it makes it a little easier overall, but definitely if you need to learn that sooner than later, I can tell you that much. If you're brand new into business,
Yeah,
like do it.
I hear you. I hear you for sure. So, what would you say are some things that you still, you're working on getting better at, but they still have more to be desired, especially on a personal level. So things that you might have had goals or reasons and aspirations why you started the business that you might not have achieved yet, but you're on your way.
It's definitely building the team, and that's the biggest thing. Is building the team is definitely an aspiration of mine to where I can get out of the day-to-day grind and then just do fulfillment. Like that's definitely the aspiration for me, is doing that, because building out a team takes time, and it takes a lot of time for sure, and to actually get it correct.
Yeah.
And when you do it, it's great, but to not have overhead and turnover consistently whenever you don't need to funnel those people in. I want to make sure it's correct. That's
Yeah.
the biggest thing. I'd rather it take longer than it be quickly, and I'd have to just keep picking people up. So once I'm able to get to a certain point and then punch all the people back into the business of marketers or managers overall, and great. But definitely the aspiration is to build the team out. And once the team's built, I mean, there would be new goals here to play, like more aspirations and goals. So
Yeah. That definitely makes sense. I hear you for sure. So, if you, let's say I had just, when you messaged me, just said, okay, yeah, I'll accept your gift, and you send me that book, what is your strategy from there? Where does it go from there?
it kind of depends. If you give me just a direct answer of like a yes, cool. I usually send you the book, or ask you for the email. I'll send you over the book. Say great. Ask feedback overall on the book. See where the benefits of it, and then after that would be, I'm still trying to get value. It's like, what, like, can I ask you a couple more questions, just see where you're at, give you some value overall?
Sorry about that.
And no, it's okay. And so once that happens, like, I'll give more value. If I'm gonna ask you a couple questions about your fitness, maybe about your time management, just those simple things, so where I can give you more value. If the person is interested in what I do and they want to jump on a call, cool, perfect. Let's do it. Like, I would love to help you out even more.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing is that I don't like to pitch a lot inside of in Legion. Like, it happens, it does. Like, I do it, like, it's Legion. Like, you have to ask for the sale to get the sale overall. But
Yeah.
coming out first and foremost, like right off the rip, I'm not a big fan of like, hey, let's jump on a call. Like, what's up? Like, how's it going? Like, I'm gonna just give some value. You want it, you don't, it's cool. But then the next step is kind of just more value and add more value. And if they like it, cool. Like, we'll keep moving, and then hopefully get on a call and build a connection. If I get the sale, get the client, yes or no, it doesn't really matter at that point in time. It's still the point of the bring the value.
Yeah.
Let them see the value for what it is. Let me force it.
Yeah, I hear you. So it's kind of like you're playing the cool hand card. You're going to say, hey, it's here if you want it, but if not, I'm not losing anything. If
Yep.
you can only win in this situation, because I'm not asking you for anything. I'm only trying to give you something. You can only win. I hear you for sure. So
Yep.
tell me a little bit about some other hobbies that you may have in your day to day. So once you're done with the work at 4 p.m., what does your day after that look like? What kind of hobbies do you have?
Yeah, right now, not a huge hobby guy, but it'd be like Netflix or like maybe some video games here and there, or it would be like going outside. I have a lot of land. It's like 4 to 8 acres, just depending. My family lives on 8 acres, so kind of all connected, everything there. But walk around, got a pond, could fish at and do those things. But it's usually relaxing for the most part. I would read. I like to read, which sounds boring. I sound pretty old, but read and just like hang out really for the most part of like Netflix, movies,
Yeah.
maybe video games a little bit, but mostly relaxing.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you for sure. What is there to do around your area? Like, I guess, let's say, attractions, you may call them?
There's not much, I would tell you that. There's a lot of it's partying where I'm at because it's a college town.
Yeah.
I'm like 10 minutes, 15 minutes away from a college town. So it's a lot of partying, but it would be there's like this weekend is like there's movie night that I'll probably go to just with the family and everything, like on downtown. There's stuff like that that goes on, and pretty much if something happens, like if there's hurricane, we have parties. Like literally, like this is the town of like drinking, like literally,
Yeah,
like, but that's not my it's not my crowd. Like I'm not a big
that's fair
huge fan
enough.
of doing that. Yeah, so it's usually just like chill for the most part, and then if they have those things that come up like the movie nights,
Yeah.
I'll go to that.
And
Something
then
easy.
do you also leverage those events and situations for your lead gen for your business as well? So are you going to these events and trying to talk to people and then saying, "Hey, what do you do?" and kind of hoping they ask what you do after they answer?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to build connections for sure, and if they're there and we start talking, and I know what they do and they know what I do, great. We can kind of talk a little bit, about how I can help them. But the overall is, yeah, definitely. If I'm going, I'm gonna talk to them for at least. I'll probably have like an before like everything gets started. And I'll talk to like people.
Mm-hmm.
Just say what's up, how's it going, see what they do, and they can see what I do. But yeah, I'm not going too deep down the rabbit hole when I am out. If the opportunity comes up, I'll do it. Put it that
Yeah,
way.
that's fair enough. Another question I had for you was, in your day to day life, how do you generally balance, the physical fitness, the mental health, the mindset, and your diet and things like that? So, how do you make sure that in your day to day life you're staying balanced in ways that, you're not taking too much time and only focusing on yourself, but you're not giving too much away?
Yeah. So the way I focus on it is I definitely plan everything beforehand. So my meals have already been planned out for 4 days, and it's already cooked. I'm super boring with my meals. I really don't care if I eat the same thing every single day. I
Yeah.
don't care about it. It's the easiest route for me to take, especially working for the long hours. I got time, and then working out, same thing. It's at the same time. It's at 8 o'clock until 9:30, and I'm back home before 10. And then everything else is just good to go for the most of the day. And with mindset and mental health overall, it's the same thing. It's like you find something good for your mind, your body, and your soul every single day. If you can do that and you can implement it, then you're good to go. So, like mindset would be change. So it could be affirmations in the morning if like you're feeling like a little foggy, like everything's kind of blurry. I write down my goals every morning too. Like right
Mm-hmm.
when I wake up, get my cup of coffee, write down my goals. I can say my goals to myself. So I have a clear vision of where I'm going, no matter
Yeah.
if I'm foggy, anything else, like I know where I'm headed. And then I have my scheduled already done. So I already know my mindset's already there, like where I'm headed, and it's very clear. My body, out or go for a walk every day. I don't work out every day, but I do go for walks. I'm active single day, have to be. So it's always pushed into the schedule. And then just for like your business overall for time management, it's you're just run a schedule. Like you have to run the schedule and you have to be efficient with it. There needs to be time constraints. You need to have time constraints on what you do. If you are doing a task that should only take you 30 minutes, then it needs to take you 30 minutes, not an hour, because you're jumping back and forth to Facebook, emails, whatever the case may be. Like you're just everywhere at one time, you'll never get anything done. And the only time we stress at all is when the big things that move our business forward don't get done. So,
Mm-hmm. And
yeah.
so when you catch yourself falling into these situations where you might be going and checking Facebook a little bit too much, how are you catching yourself and bringing yourself back to center?
When that does happen, it's more of a refocus and reverse back to goals. It's like, do the goals match where you need to be at?
Mm-hmm.
Are you there doing what you need to do to get to these goals? And the goals are such a stretch that it should scare you a little bit. It should make you uncomfortable. It should make you work harder than you ever have before, to a point to where if you miss it, you are so much further than you would to begin with overall. So those always bring me back there, number one. And then after that point in time, since you're working on such a time constraint, and I know that I don't want to work after a certain time, that it's like, all right, let's put the phone down, put everything down, and these are the steps that we need to take, and the constraints just got to even tighter. So we got to work a little bit faster and more efficient.
Yep, I hear you for sure. Okay, so now we have about 3 or so minutes left. I want to ask you where we can find you, what we can expect from you moving forward, and really just anything that you want to plug, anything that you have going on.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, same Lasseigne, and I have a Facebook group, the Warriors Mindset, and then I have an Instagram too. More of anything, my action is usually on Facebook. I'm gonna be going into Instagram a little bit more. I'll be doing reels and doing actual just live feed type of trainings and different things that I'll be doing here to come on content. So I'm just branch out my content more and more. And that's where the main place is to find me right now. You got a couple things in the works, but that's the main focus right now is on Facebook and Instagram, and the group also free with a lot of lessons, a lot of resources that are coming too. So
and then they can also expect the same ebook I will be getting after this, correct?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Caleb Lasseigne, it's been awesome talking to you. It is awesome to finally get to connect with you and have this conversation. I mean, it was awesome. It was super insightful, and I really appreciate you coming on to talk to me.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, Ethan. It was fun being here.
I mean, I hope we can continue to connect and, like I said, develop into a friendship. That's what I'm here for. So if you ever need or want anything, you have any questions for me, whether that's just real estate related or anything, you ever want a buddy to talk to, I'm here for you. And everybody, we will put his details down in the description as well. So if you just don't really want to search him up, and we can just give you something to click on, make it nice and easy for everybody. Alrighty, so we'll wrap it up here. Caleb, you've been awesome. Like I said, super insightful, and I appreciate you coming on, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.
You too, Ethan. I appreciate it.